Hi, my name is Corey Gerard, and I have an interesting subject topic for all of you this fine evening. So, how many of y'all know someone who likes to gossip about someone else or other people in particular? Now, how many of y'all have ever heard a type of story about someone? Just think real carefully. And in cases such as that story has probably made its way through, say, 8 or 10 people. And then at some point, you get around some of the people who heard or told that story, and you start to notice discrepancies in it. Hey, I can give clear accounts of that having happened to me. And many have probably talked about me and did the same thing. But you notice when you coordinate your efforts and you get around some of the people that heard the story, it doesn't sound quite the same. It's like the story seems to be different in ways. It's like things appear to be added to it or taken away. And then in a far-fetched way, it's like the story seems to be changed around significantly. And then y'all think to yourselves, wait a minute, this can't be the same story about that same person that I heard, because I know there's clear-cut differences in it. And then at that time, you start to question the validity and truth of that story. Because, hey, you're like, hey, this can't be true, or all of it can't be true, because these stories from these 4 different people indicate too many differences. So which one do I believe? But really, the only way to get at the core of the truth is to find the original person who heard that story and then told it. Because, if the story starts off, then after a while, when it courses its way through and too many people have told it, you're going to find that the story definitely changed. But many of y'all don't know why. Well, I'm here to reveal it to all of y'all folks. So are y'all ready to hear it? Well, people like to hear exciting stories about people, places, and things. And it's like when you hear an exciting story about those varieties, then you are thrilled and excited, but you never can get too much of it. It's like you want more and more and more. And in some cases, if you hear a story and it's not good enough, then you feel sort of let down a bit. Just say you hear a story about somebody involving idle gossip, and then you are the one that carry that story through, and then you tell it to someone else. But you're not going to tell it exactly the way you originally heard it, because it's not exciting enough, and it never is. So you're going to want to add things to it to make it more thrilling. Like, you're going to be thinking in your mind, hey, this wasn't good enough, but I'm going to add little white lies in there to make it so exciting that their eyes would glare from hearing it. And they'd be like, ooh, child, did that really happen? Yeah. And then you feel like you are the one that improved upon the story, but you don't think that you actually lied by adding things to it. And we never think that way. So when you just say you originally heard the story and then you tell it to someone else, you're going to add something to it to make it more exciting, because you are sort of disappointed because it just wasn't good enough or exciting for you. Unless you tell something like that, hey man, this dude went out there and he got on crack and then he went and climbed a whole mountain in a couple of hours. Yeah, if somebody tell you something like that, it's going to be exciting. So you're not going to really want to change it. So you probably going to tell it exactly as you heard it because you find it to be entertaining enough. But in many cases involving people, their lives aren't that exciting. And then people tend to tell the same exact stories. So there's nothing new to you. Now, how many gossip stories have you heard and then it's just the same old thing? Like, one person, one moment will be smiling in another person's face and then they'll be talking about them the next moment. And then when they get back around that person, they'll be cool again. We've all seen it, and some of us have been through it because many of us are those very people that gossip, or either we take that story and course it to new heights and add things to it because we become the storytellers and we want to impress the people that we're telling that gossip to. And then when we tell it to somebody else, they tell it to someone else, and you find that they keep adding stuff to it as well because they want to become the master storyteller who tells a better, impressive story to the next person, and then it goes on and on and on. And it's like that in a continual cycle. So imagine if one person started a type of gossip about another, and then it reaches like 100 or 200 people. Can you imagine just how much that story will have changed? Yeah, it boggles the mind. So after it reached that many, it ain't gonna probably be no truth in it or very little truth at all. But if it's harmless, then hey, we don't really have any problems with doing it. But if you tell stuff about people that might hurt them, then you shouldn't. And then even if it's true, you just nip it in the bud and kill that noise altogether and don't tell anyone else that story. And then if you do tell it because you feel as though that person needs help, then don't add anything to it, because you will do more harm than good that way. Well, folks, this concludes another lesson on this fine evening night. So stay tuned for the next one.